racing, and we're clean and away. Great stuff. More of that, please.
Pit lane open. Mind your speed.
Wow.
Bold move there.
Oh no! I think he's played a blinder here. Side by side. Until he's off the track. What a battle to the end.
Fantastic race. Great team effort. Good job, everybody.
Hello there, I'm Nadia Nash bringing you the Asian Le Mans Series 2022 season in review. Returning to the UAE with 4 races on 2 circuits over 2 weekends, and as always, the 24-hour of Le Mans invitations waiting for the winners of each category. This season is set to bring us some thrilling action, especially with a record-breaking GT field of 23 cars, the biggest yet for the series and the most diverse, with 7 different manufacturers represented. Not only that, we also saw 9 teams making the series debut. So we started off the season at the Dubai Autodrome. Let's take a look at a hot lap around the circuit.
Hi, this is Nicky Katzberg and I'm going to take you on board for a lap of the Dubai Autodrome in my BMW M4 GT3. Long straight here, coming onto turn 1, which is a big downhill brake zone, heavy braking, really tough for the brakes, for the left front tire, so downhill here, turn in, try to clip the curb on the inside to get some extra rotation. Get ready for a fast left-hander here, over the curb, and then into this really high-speed section, turn 3, double apex. Really cool part of the track. Still high speed to the left here, over the curb, big curbs on the right. Double right-hander, really tough to slow it down for the slow part here. Not using too much of the curb. Try to use all of it on the exit, maybe a bit too much here. Double left, very interesting corner, banked, which makes it interesting. Long corner, very tough on the right-hand side tires, fully over the exit curb here and preparing for the longest straight of the track. Trying to have a good exit speed to be faster than everyone else. Again, big braking zone, I would say around about 120 meters. Very heavy on the brakes into the ABS. Making sure you clip the inside here for that extra bit of rotation. Staying to the right, preparing for the next left-hander. Over the curb again, might get a little unsettled. Exit curb, very technical section here. Uphill for this right-hander, and then the exit is off-camber and downhill, which makes it very tricky for traction, but our BMW M4 is fantastic. New car and it's doing really well. Last sector of the track, fast left-hander into a very high banked left-hander here. Very technical part again of the track. I love this part. Making sure that you stick to the left here to prepare this right-hander. Take all of the inside curb, as much exit speed as you can. I might have gotten a penalty for going too wide. Last corner, making sure you clip the apex and prepare for the straight. All of the exit curb. That was a lap of the Dubai Autodrome circuit.
With an impressive lineup of cars and teams, we were ready to get down to business. The race weekend began with the qualifying sessions of the Dubai races.
GT3 qualifying for race 1, and initially into the pound seats was the number 17 car. This is the APM Monaco car from AF Corsa, but Ben Barnicoat it was that took the Inception Racing McLaren to the top of the times. That time though was matched by the Ferrari at the end of the session. LMP3 and the first qualifying session delayed just slightly with a problem for the Nielsen Racing car. They wouldn't take part in the session. G-Drive Racing making their debut in LMP3 racing, but no one could do anything about the pace of Ranseur, reigning European Le Mans Series LMP3 champion. He put his mark with a vengeance on the session in the Nemo liveried Decar Engineering Duquesne to take pole position. LMP2, first out was Dennis Anderson in the high-class racing car. This 4-car field, 3 Orecas and 1 Ligier, but it was the not the Graf Racing car for the first session, but this car, the number 4 Nielsen Racing car, new addition to their fleet that would take pole position with Ben for race 1.
The qualifying sessions was just a taste of what's to come, but there was no time to waste for the teams as race 1 flagged off just hours later.
So we're just going to take you around the 16 turns, the 5.39 kilometre track here at the Dhabi Autodrome, coming down into turn 1, one of the key overtaking points here on this racetrack. Then it's a number of fast sweeping corners, 2 and then into 3. This is where we can see a real pinch point in this multi-class racing here. Through 5 and into 6, working your way back. 7 is a very tight corner, it's the lowest point of the racetrack. And then in 8 and into 9, the hairpin that then brings you out onto the long back straight, heading up into turn 10. Another key overtaking point. Brake zone, quite bumpy, dusty all the way up there, so you've got to be careful not to lose out there. Traction off of 10 is tricky, then into 11, then into another key overtaking point at turn 12. Traction difficult off of 12, a number of cars really struggling with that. Into 13 and then down to 14, really heavily banked corner. Out of that, you've got to be tight over to the left to then take the fast right-hander. Highest point of the racetrack here, and through into turn 16, sweeping through there and out to complete a lap here at the Dhabi Autodrome.
Race 1 at the Dubai Autodrome, one of 2 over the weekend. On pole position, the number 4 Nielsen Racing Orica making its debut in the championship. DCAR Engineering's Duquesne took a double pole 2 in LMP3, and it would be the Inception Racing McLaren that took pole position with an identical time the second place car in the class for Saturday's race. 35 cars, new drivers, new teams, and a brand new season, new format too. The 4 hours of Dubai would go very quickly into full darkness.
Rodrigo Sales in the number 4 Nielsen Racing entry led the field away to start the 2022 season, and he got the start he wanted as the 35-car grid headed down towards turn 1. Graf Racing's Eric Trouillet held on to second place, with Dennis Anderson keeping the high-class racing team in third. Walkenhorst Motorsport's John Miller steered his BMW way off track in the opening moments as the yellow flag briefly appeared after an incident at turn 1. Trouillet in the number 39 car was putting some early pressure on Sales in the lead car as the 2 bronze-rated drivers went head-to-head in the early stages. Elsewhere, Nick Moss in the bright orange Optimum Motorsport McLaren had the best of things here as he battled with several rivals. A spin from Sales had seen the American driver drop down to third place, with Frenchman Trouillet moving into the lead from Danish driver Dennis Anderson. Peter Cox in the Cox Racing Porsche was an early retirement after just 7 laps, following contact with the number 77 D-Station racing car, who would later serve a drive-through penalty as a result. This retirement was all the more unfortunate given the Dutch driver had already made up 10 places from the start. Conrad Grunewald was battling to hold off Rino Mastronardi in the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari for the GT lead, with Frankie Bird in the Garage 59 entry close behind, the Brit having moved up 12 places from his starting position of 26th. Meanwhile, Mathieu de Barbois had the LMP3 lead, running the DKR Engineering Duquesne in 5th position overall. Rodrigo Sales had clawed back one of the 2 places he had lost and was now setting his sights on race leader Eric Trouillet as the 2 fought through GT traffic. Elsewhere in the 22-car GT field, a 3-way battle in midfield nearly caused an incident, but fortunately this trio managed to stay out of trouble. Bad luck hit Colin Noble in the number 8 Nielsen Racing Ligier, the former Asian Le Mans Series LMP3 champion, alongside his teammate Tony Wells, and they had the lead after the first round of pit stops, but an electrical gremlin took the team out of contention. Moving into the second hour, South African David Perel had taken over from Rino Mastronardi in the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari, and the number 55 car was in the GT category lead. Further back, Alexander West in the Garage 59 number 88 car just managed to hold off Andrew Watson in the Optimum Motorsport number 42, with the Swede successfully defending 2 attacks here from his British rival as the McLarens went head-to-head, although Watson would later go through. A lengthy stint from Matt Bell in the number 4 Orica saw the England-based Nielsen Racing team take back the overall lead in the second hour after Bell had passed Eric Truet in the number 39 Graf Racing entry. Sebastian Alvarez in the number 2 DKR Engineering team was leading the LMP3 field as the 4 Hours of Dubai moved towards the midpoint of the race, with the Spaniard running third overall. David Rigon in the number 55 car continued to hold the lead in GT for Rinaldi Racing, with the circuit heading into almost total darkness. But moments later, Rigon was being hotly pursued by Ben Barnicoat in the number 7 Inception Racing McLaren, looking to pounce on any error from the Italian and take over the category lead, with these two cars running in 10th and 11th overall. This was the moment when Barnicoat saw an opportunity and he went for it, brilliantly going up the inside and taking the position. The number 7 Inception Racing McLaren would go on to win the category, with Rigon and Rinaldi Racing finishing second in the number 55 car. Meanwhile, race leader Ben Hanley in the number 4 car was clicking off the laps at the front, driving smart and carefully picking his points to overtake as he negotiated his way through traffic. There was drama in LMP3, where the number 13 Inter-Europol competition car was threatening to take the lead before an extended pit stop saw it drop out of podium contention. Meanwhile, disaster befell Lawrence Hoare and the DKR engineering team with just 20 minutes of the race still to run, when the German's car stopped on the side of the track near turn 9. That brought out a full course yellow to recover the stranded vehicle. DKR had been leading the LMP3 category since the start, but were unable to finish the race. Back at the front, Ben Hanley was now 3 laps up on the second place David Drew in the number 39 Graf Racing entry, and the Graf team had to stick torches on the side of the car to illuminate the numbers in the dying laps of the race. Edouard Coop in the number 3 CD Sport entry was leading the LMP3 category and running 5th overall, a lap up on his nearest challenger, fellow Frenchman Stephen Paulette in the number 27 CD Sport sister car. They would go on to complete a 1-2 category win, with the number 26 G-Drive Racing car beating out the number 22 Rinaldi Racing car in a late race battle to claim the final podium spot in LMP3. An intense battle broke out in the closing minutes between Vincent Abril in the number 17 AF Corsa car and Joe Osborne in the number 42 Optimum Motorsport car, as they battled for the final podium spot in the GT class. But Abril in the Ferrari was able to hold his nerve and take third ahead of Osborne's McLaren. But none of that mattered to Ben Hanley, who brought home the race for Nielsen Racing, who had dominated the 4 Hours of Dubai at the Dubai Autodrome, alongside his teammates Rodrigo Sales and Matt Bell, with Graf Racing's David Drew finishing in second and High Class Racing's Anders Fjordbach in third.
Nielsen Racing then take a win on their LMP2 debut in the Asian Le Mans Series, the number 4 Orica coming home ahead of the LMP2 AM Class winning Orica, the 39 of Graf Racing. CD Sport take a 1-2 with the number 3 Ligier coming home on top of LMP3, and the Inception Racing McLaren number 7 wins GT. The record-breaking GT field saw fabulous competition throughout, with the number 20 SPS Automotive Performance AMG winning GT-AM in 20th place overall. The podiums saw 4 very happy class-winning teams from LMP2, LMP3, GT and GT-AM. The teams knew well that they'd come back and do it all over again the following evening at the Dubai Autodrome.
The GT category is here to stay and is only getting stronger. The series' biggest GT field ever also meant that we saw an array of different manufacturers being represented this season. Now, you don't have to be an avid motorsport fan to know brands like McLaren, Porsche, Ferrari, Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Aston Martin, because all these brands elicit images of performance and prestige, and they will be fighting for GT Championship glory here at the Asian Le Mans Series.
These are pure race versions of some of the most spectacular road cars you can buy. Yeah, there's also diversity. We have some 7 different manufacturers competing in the 2022 season.
We had a record-breaking GT field field of 19 cars last season, but this season we have even more. A full season entry of 23 cars in the GT class will make it the biggest ever for the Asian Le Mans Series. The GT Championship battle will be intense and fun to watch, so don't miss out. Race 2 was everything we could have hoped for. Now the track was still hot from the race just a day before, but the teams were ready for battle.
Race 2, and it was Ben Barnicoat that would be looking to do what he could do after that matched times at the top of the order. But he could do no better than third quickest, a mighty 500th of a second off pole position, because it was Johnny Adam that set pole this time for the TF Sport car. Just 0.003 of a second to the good over the nearest contender this time. Fantastic stuff there. In LMP3, it was the Nielsen Racing car tussling away at the start of the session with Colin Noble trying to get track position. Didn't quite manage to do that ultimately. Good run for the 26 car, but could do nothing to prevent Laurence Herr completing a pole double for D-Car Engineering. Luxembourg at the top of the tree, as we've seen so many times. LMP2, and Neil Muston an improvement, and he managed to grab third place in the order from the high-class racing car. Great run from David Drew, who is putting Ben Hanley under pressure, but Hanley still managed to come back with a double pole position for the LMP2 season debut for Nielsen Racing in their number 4 Oreca 07. Race 2 at Dubai Autodrome on Sunday would see the number 4 Nielsen Racing Oreca and the number 2 D-Car Duquesne on a second pole position of the weekend. Leading in the record GT field, it would be the 95 TF Sport Aston Martin in a race that would start an hour later than Saturday, and that means a lot more running in darkness for the 35 car Asia Le Mans Series field.
For the second race of the 2022 season, Rodrigo Sales in the number 4 Nielsen Racing car led the field from the start and again headed into turn 1 in the race lead, with American Kevin Weider in the high-class racing number 49 car falling back into third. And then a lock-up for Kevin Weider in the 49 car, while AF Corsa's Francesco Piavenetti and Tommy Vegelainen in the Finnish Enter Duquesne were two who both fell a significant way back down the field. Sales had a 2-second lead after one lap, with Eric Trier bearing down on Miro Konopka in the battle for second, with the Frenchman going around the outside of his rival to secure the position and take the LMP2 AM class lead. Also on the opening lap, Rino Mastronardi in the number 55 Rinaldi Racing Ferrari had a spin in midfield, dropping the Italian out of the top 20. Right behind those two was an almighty battle for third in the category, with Sam Dahan in the number 69 Oman Racing car ahead of Brendan Arib in the number 7 Inception Racing car, and Ifeyer right in the mix too, that the number 33 car would later fail to complete the race. The battle in the GT category was warming up nicely here, with Hubert Haupter in the yellow AMG leading from Konrad Grunewald in the number 17 Ferrari. In LMP3, Torsten Kratz in the number 22 Rinaldi Racing entry was coming under pressure from Jordan Grogor in the Conrad Motorsport number 21 car. The pair was just behind Alexander Bukansov in the number 13 Inter Europol competition car, competing for 4th, 5th and 6th in the class. Moments later, Kratz went for an ill-advised lunge down the inside of the Russian as the trio came into turn 1, but he got it all wrong and spun around, forcing Grogor to take evasive action behind him. Mathieu de Barbouin in the number 2 DKR engineering car had recovered from his slow start to retake the LMP3 category lead and was running 5th overall, with the team doing its best to make up for the late race disappointment of the previous day when a double fuel pump issue ended their hopes of victory. And Haupter's troubles weren't over, with the German also coming under pressure from Ifeyer, who was showing tremendous poise in his debut campaign in GT, with Brendan Arib lurking behind, waiting to pounce on any mistake ahead of him. Jordan Grogor in the number 21 Conrad Motorsport entry was up into second in LMP3 and within 10 seconds of the category lead, but was battling through traffic, seen here edging past Francesco Piavenetti in the AF Corsa Ferrari, who had just served a drive-through penalty for causing contact earlier. Meanwhile, Fabrice Rosello in the number 26 G-Drive racing car was less than a second behind Grogor as they both moved through GT traffic, giving him plenty of things to think about. Race leader Rodrigo Sales came into the pits with 45 minutes gone, but the American opted to stay in the car and continue his stint, with the team having built up a sizable lead. Back in midfield, Alexander West in the number 88 car was coming under pressure from Nick Moss in the 42 as the light was beginning to fade, but the Swede was able to hold his advantage on this occasion as the two McLarens went head to head, though Moss's team would later mount a challenge for a podium position. A full course yellow was announced at the start of the second hour to clear some debris from the track at turn 10, and that allowed several cars to make the most of the delay and come in for pit stops, including race leader Rodrigo Sales after his short second stint, although the team appeared to have an issue inside the car. Shortly after the restart, Matt Bell in the number 4 car retook second place from Sebastian Page in the number 39 car, though Page's car again had problems with side light panels after experiencing the same issue in race 1. Bell soon went into the overall lead, having passed Sebastian Alvarez in the number 2 DKR engineering car, with the LMP3 outfit having temporarily led the race overall due to all the pit stops that occurred during the earlier full course yellow. Louis Pret in the number 17 AF Corsa Ferrari was leading the GT class and running 8th overall, but David Perel in the number 55 Rinaldi Racing Ferrari was all over the back of him here, desperately looking for a way through in the darkness. Perel made a dash for it just after the race again went under full course yellow, meaning he was forced to give the place straight back to the Monaco-based driver. As the race progressed into the night, Nico Pronk in the number 48 Salosin by Cox Racing Porsche appeared to spin at turn 14 and was stranded in an unusual part of the track, bringing out another full course yellow to allow for recovery of the vehicle. Dennis Anderson in the number 49 High Class Racing LMP2 entry was closing in on Sebastian Page's 39 Graf Racing car for second overall. Despite a messy pit stop for the team earlier in the race, Anderson was able to make the move stick here and take away the position. Moments later, Anderson himself was in the firing line from Neil Muston in the bright yellow number 44 ARC Bratislava entry. Though the Australian was able to move into second here, the number 44 car would finish back in 4th overall, good enough for 3rd in LMP2 AM. Mathieu de Barboat was leading LMP3, but once again there was late heartbreak for the number 2 DKR Engineering Duquesne, with a number of visits to the pits ending their race prematurely. That gave the class win to Nielsen Racing despite a late race 10-second stop-and-go penalty for the number 8 car, with the Spanish outfit CD Sports' twin LMP3 entries completing the podium. A dominant performance by Conrad Grunewald, Louis Pret and Vincent Avril in the number 17 AF Corsa team looked to be on course for victory in GT, but a drive-through penalty to Avril for abusing track limits in the dying minutes of the race handed the win to the number 55 Rinaldi Racing team, with the number 7 Inception Racing trio in second and AF Corsa holding on for third. Ben Hanley took the checkered flag after completing an 80-minute stint, shaking off the issues that had earlier dogged teammates Rodrigo Sales and Matt Bell to make it 2 from 2 for the 2022 season and giving Nielsen Racing an LMP double.
A double win then for Nielsen Racing in Dubai with the number 4 Oreca, and the 49 high-class racing car takes LMP2 AM. And it would be a double win for Nielsen Racing, their number 8 Ligier taking LMP3. The 55 Rinaldi Racing Ferrari would take GT after the late penalty for the 17, and the number 20 AMG from SPS Performance Automotive takes GT AM. A great night in Dubai completed with top of the podium for the overall and LMP3 classes for the team. Rinaldi Racing would take the packed GT class win, and in the AM classes the 20 AMG, and for high class racing the 49 Oreca complete the podiums.
That was our farewell to Dubai. The second half of the season took us to Abu Dhabi, here at the Yas Marina circuit once again. But this time, the track was not how we remembered it.
Designed and built back in 2009, Yas Marina have taken the bold step to redesign and reconfigure. We're now down at turn 5. Braking zone is a little bit up there, 20 metres wide, but the apex is pulled 40 metres further closer to the pit. I think this is going to create a great opportunity though for multi-class racing, side-by-side action, even an undercut round and through and down to turn 6. We're here down on the old track, the old turn 14. That is the apex right there for that corner. But the big change for this year is that up there. Look at that elevation change for the new turn 9 and how banked it is. I think we should go and take a look. Bottle of water here to illustrate the banking here at the newly reconfigured turn 9 here at Yas Marina. I think this corner is going to give a lot of opportunities for cars to run side by side at high speed. Perfect for multi-class racing in the Asian Le Mans series. I think it's going to be fantastic racing.
The new track layout sure kept the teams on their toes. Now, how about we familiarize ourselves with the circuit and go for a hot lap around the track?
Hi, I'm Ben Hanley, and this is a hot lap around the Abu Dhabi Yas Marina circuit in the number 4 race in Nielsen LMP2. Through sector 1, it's really important to get a good exit on turn 1 because we're flat out through this high speed over the hill. And the exit here is quite tricky to stay off the curbs. And that is sector 1 done. And then we're heading straight into a new configuration of the circuit. It's much more open and higher speed than previous. And again, exit's really important as this is the longest straight we have. And it also gives us the highest top speed of around 285 kph. We're then into a really heavy braking zone, so just as late as you can. And then it's a slowest corner of the circuit really is that first part, because you're always trying to again get a good exit for the next long straight. And then we're coming into another modified section of the circuit, and it's a lot quicker entry and mid corner. And it's quite tricky around here because the exit's always tightening, so it's difficult to pick up your throttle point. And then we're heading towards the hotel section, which is pretty unique for us in sports car racing to be a street type circuit like this. So it's really cool for us to be able to get around here. Pretty tricky as it's really off camber. And then the last 2 corners of the circuit, the last corner tries to lead your eyes too early because of the pit lane entry, but you get that right, and that's a full lap of the new configuration Abu Dhabi Yas Marina circuit.
The race begins here at the starting grid, but unlike other motorsport racing, the Asian Le Mans series adopts a different kind of starting procedure. Endurance races like the ones we have here at the Asian Le Mans series have a different start procedure to other motorsports. We have what is called a rolling start, and one person who I know knows so much about it, probably done it a couple hundred times, is our commentator, Oliver Gavin.
Well, thanks, Nadia. Back in the old days, races like the Le Mans 24 Hours were started with drivers running to their cars. But nowadays, there's an awful lot more structure. Since 1970, drivers must have all their safety equipment secured and they must be tightly belted into their seat before they can move off from the grid. Once the field is rolling, they form up behind the M4 pace car to start the formation lap. This is an important lap for drivers to prepare the car, warming tyres, brakes and preparing themselves mentally for the rolling start. Once the pack reaches turn 12, our race director, Eduardo Freitas, will call teams over the radio to make sure they are in that 2x2 formation. At pit lane entry, the pace car peels off and responsibility falls to the pole position driver to lead the pack to the green. Once the signal is given, the race starts as they cross the start line.
Wow, now that we know how the race starts, can't wait to find out how it's going to end. Just hours before race 3 in Abu Dhabi, we were served with some nail-biting action in qualifying. The teams were not messing around because pole positions were up for grabs.
Well, once again, in the Asian Le Mans Series, it's the quick-fire 10-minute qualifying sessions for the 2 races in Abu Dhabi, and it was the GT cars out first. 23 record field in the GT class. Klaus Bachler, the number 33 Herbeth Motorsport car, right in the mix. Johnny Adam, though, would be there taking the pole position in a GT for race 1 on Saturday evening. LMP3 and the Inter-Europol competition car for race 1 was in the mix. So too was Xavier Laveras, the number 26 G-Drive racing car, but peerless once again in qualifying, and this team desperate to get to the end of a race in the same kind of form. DKR Engineering and Lawrence Herr. LMP2, Dennis Anderson out there into the mix first in the 49 high-class racing car. The 39 car from Graf Racing to late into the session, but would take the LMP2 and pole. This time it would be Paul de Resta taking the pole position for United Autosports for race 1 ahead of the 4 Nielsen Racing Orica.
The first half of the season done and dusted, and of course anything can happen in the second half. The teams were still in it to win it. Here is race 3 in Abu Dhabi.
As we wind our way down the front straight here on this 5.281 length kilometre, 16 turn Yas Marina circuit through turn 1, then quickly into turn 2. Sweeping then through turn 3, and these are all high-speed corners that the P cars are going to absolutely love, but it might be a little bit of a track limit issue as you come through 3 and 4. And then down to this new sequence at turn 5, nice and wide there. I think we're going to see some side-by-side action, but you need to get a really good run off of there and down into turn 6, where there's going to be even more overtaking opportunities as you come down here on the brakes hard into turn 6. Important to get through 6 and 7 cleanly, and get your run off of there and down into this new so-called parabolica corner here at Yas Marina. This turn 9 is a very fast entry, 6th gear, really throwing it in there, and then V'ing the corner off, looking for that entry, and then running out of there, turn 10, turn 11, and heading right back towards the hotel section underneath the hotel bridge, through turn 14, which is off camber, and then into turn 15, and then 16 to finish the lap and over the line for another lap here at Yas Marina.
So Nielsen Racing would be pole position for the first of 2 races at Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi, with the DKR Engineering Duquesne topping the field and starting on pole in LMP3. GT would see the 95 TF Sport Aston Martin leading the field, a record 23 car grid of GT cars around this magnificent Grand Prix circuit in Abu Dhabi.
Pole sitter Josh Pearson in the number 23 United Autosports car had the perfect start on his Asian Le Mans Series debut just days after celebrating his 16th birthday, and held the lead into turn 1. Meanwhile, Eric Trier in the number 39 Graf Racing car made a dash down the inside to steal second place from Rodrigo Sales in the number 4 Nielsen Racing entry. The 37 car field narrowed coming into the tight turn 6 on the opening lap, and it was too much for Ian Loggy in the number 20 SPS Automotive Performance AMG, as the GT AM Championship leader got spun around here, sparking a penalty for the 17. Tony Wells in the number 8 Nielsen Racing Ligier made a brave lunge down the inside of James Dayson in the number 13 Inter-Europol competition car, but he overshot and ended up losing a place to Jordan Grogor in the number 21 car behind him. Tomonobu Fuji in the number 77 D-Station racing car made his intentions clear, having a look around the back of Konrad Grunewald in the number 17 AF Corsa car. Moments later, Fuji tried it again and made the pass, but his American rival got turned around and lost several places before he was able to rejoin the race. Rodrigo Sales had retaken second place from Eric Trier, but the American wasn't able to pull away, with the Frenchman shadowing him closely lap after lap, as he had done in Dubai. Marvin Kirchhofer in the number 88 Garage 59 car was battling with Hubert Haupt in the yellow number 6 car, with the 2 Germans exchanging positions in the opening half hour. There was an isolated mistake from the teenage race leader Josh Pearson, who overshot his pit box on his first stop during a full course yellow, but the American otherwise drove faultlessly to build up a healthy lead at the front. Kirchhofer in the 88 car made another move down the inside of 2 cars here, with both Haupter and Alessandro Perguidi in the number 51 AF Corsa Ferrari getting into trouble, and it was the Haupter racing team who had the worst of it, with damage to the left rear. 2 of the GT cars went past the number 13 LMP3 car, which was running way down the field, some way below its best, with Canadian James Dayson struggling to mount a comeback. Enrique Chavez in the number 95 TF Sport Aston Martin was leading the GT class by a healthy distance, with the Portuguese driver putting in an impressive first hour. Another full course yellow was announced to allow the stewards to remove smaller pieces of debris from the track at turn 5, likely due to that earlier contact between Hubert Haupter and Alessandro Perguidi. With the guest team United Autosports ineligible to earn points in the main championship, new driver Josh Pearson was treating the race like a training program of sorts for his other role in the FIA World Endurance Championship, of which the 24 Hours of Le Mans is a central part. Marvin Kirchhofer in the number 88 Garage 59 car was continuing his great run of form and had surged into the GT class lead, and 11th overall, 4 seconds ahead of TF Sport's John Hartshorn in the division. A safety car was sent out after oil was spilled on the track at turns 13 and 14, and the culprit was the number 26 G-Drive racing car, which was billowing smoke from the back end before flames started coming out of the vehicle. Vyacheslav Gutak was seen walking safely away to the right after leaving the cockpit before the race was red flagged for 30 minutes to clean up the remnants of the incident. The field got back underway behind the safety car before full racing resumed with 1 hour and 47 minutes left on the clock. Andrew Watson in the orange number 42 Optimum Motorsport McLaren and Alfred Renauer in the number 91 Herberth Motorsports Porsche, second and third in GT respectively, each picked a side to go past the 51 at the same time, but only West could get it done. After a heartbreaking start to the season in Dubai with 2 DNFs, the number 2 DKR Engineering Duquesne was continuing to cement its pole-sitting dominance, with Mathieu de Barbois behind the wheel for this stint. This was the battle for the GT lead, with Lexus factory driver Ben Barnicoat in the number 7 Inception Racing McLaren chasing down Finnish driver Rory Penttinen in the number 6 Haupter Racing Team AMG and getting past him at turn 6 with a solid move. There was a tremendous sequence in GT as the race moved into the final hour, with Rory Penttinen in the yellow number 6 car defending the final podium position from Alfred Renauer in the black number 91 car. The German looked like he might have overshot going into turn 6, with Penttinen looking for the undercut in turn 7, but he was able to hang on. Meanwhile, Johnny Adam, on new tyres in the red number 95 TF Sport Aston Martin, was able to unlap himself from both cars with a bold move down the inside. 16-year-old Josh Pearson finally jumped out of the race-leading number 23 United Autosports car after more than 3 hours behind the wheel, albeit 30 minutes under a red flag, handing over to experienced Scottish driver Paul de Resta for the final stint. Check out the brake dust that fell off from the right front wheel of the number 2 DKR Engineering car after a hard afternoon's racing for the Duquesne, with Lawrence Hoare getting behind the wheel with 40 minutes left to hold on for victory. The importance of passing through traffic efficiently was laid bare here as Colin Wells in the number 8 Nielsen racing car found himself backed up behind the green number 48 Cox Racing Porsche, and having only just taken third position in LMP3 away from Stephen Paulette in the number 27 CD Sport car, immediately conceded the place back to the Frenchman. Johnny Adams' tyres weren't quite so fresh at this point as he desperately sought to defend his position from Ben Barker as the Englishman passed his Scottish rival, while Lawrence Hoare in the LMP2 car went past them both. Robert Renauer continued to lead GT in the number 91 Herberth Motorsport Porsche, and the reigning GT champions would safely complete their final pit stop to take the class win, ahead of the number 7 Inception Racing McLaren and the number 17 AF Corsa Ferrari, with 4 teams still fighting for the title going into the final race. In LMP3, Laurent Hawes in the number 2 DKR Engineering Duquesne would complete the comeback for the team after disappointment in Dubai, taking the class win ahead of the number 22 Rinaldi Racing Team, who overcame a 10-second penalty for a pit stop infringement, and the number 27 CD Sport car in third. In LMP2, David Drew in the number 39 Graf Racing car managed to steal the final podium position in the closing stages as Anders Fjordbach in the 49 high-class racing car ran wide here. But at the front, Paul de Resta safely negotiated the final laps after a last-minute fuel top-up to take the checkered flag for United Autosports, with Matt Bell second across the line doing enough to take the LMP2 season title for Nielsen Racing with a race to spare.
Race 3 of the 2022 Asia Le Mans Series at Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi sees United Autosports take a non-point scoring win with their 23 Oreca. Nielsen Racing then take the points and the title in their number 4 Oreca. And Graf Racing take the win in the LMP2AM car with their 39 car. The number 2 DCAR Engineering Duquesne finally takes a win after disasters in Dubai, and Herbeth Motorsport lock in to a win in the number 91 Porsche. It would be the 57 Kessel Racing car that completes the winners in Abu Dhabi with their number 57 Ferrari. United Autosport then would take the win in race 3. Josh Pearson and Paul di Resta ahead of Nielsen Racing and Graf Racing on the overall podium. In LMP3, DCAR Engineering, Rinaldi Racing and the number 27 CD Sport Ligier would complete the podium. In GT, Herbeth Motorsport ahead of the Inception Racing crew and the number 17 AF Corsa car. Kessel Racing take the win in GT AM ahead of the 20 AMG and the number 99 Porsche. And in LMP2AM, a delighted Graf Racing beat out a challenge from High Class Racing and ARC Bratislava.
The time spent at a pit stop can make all the difference and flip a race on its head. But we've always been a spectator viewing it from the outside. What goes on in the car? Let's find out the driver's experience at a pit stop.
I'm down here in the pit lane at Yas Marina. I know Oman Racing number 69 entry. I'm going to talk you through a pit stop from the driver's perspective in the Asian Le Mans Series. The lap before the pit stop, you're called on the radio by the team. You acknowledge that with a radio message. You arrive in pit lane, you're making sure you've got the car down to speed. So you arrive in the pit box, the engine stops, and at that point they can plug in the fuel nozzle to get the total energies fuel into the car. So once the engine is stopped, you can then undo the belts. You've gone for the window net's out the way. You've then gone for the door. So by the time you've got to the door, your teammate is there. He's then helping you with the door open. You're then jumping out of the seat as quickly as you can. He's then most probably got a seat insert that's going to go into the seat. He's got to place that in place and then jump into the seat. He's then got to locate the pedal box. He's then got to start doing all the belts. So you help with the belts, you've helped with the window net, you've shut the door, you've then run back behind the line. And then as the new driver in the car, you're cinching down the belts, getting yourself prepared, everything in place. You're then looking and watching the boys changing all of those Michelin tyres, focused on the mechanics, finishing that final wheel. The car's on the ground, you're watching the car controller. You've started the engine, you're waiting for the lollipop to come up. You're then released back out into pit lane. You're on pit lane speed limit. You're getting towards the end of the pit lane. You get there, you release pit lane speed limit, and it's back to racing.
The teams are ready, the cars are ready, everyone's got their eye on the prize. The 24-hour Le Mans invitations were up for grabs and it's only one race away. So this is it, the finale. Brace yourself for an unforgettable 4 hours of Abu Dhabi.
HRT with Yas Marina aboard the number 6 the Mercedes AMG in the mix. Johnny Adam too looked at one point as if he might make this a double pole position for TF Sport and Aston Martin, but would lose the pole position laps. Klaus Bachler peerless in the number 33 Herbeth Motorsports Porsche 911 GT3R would bring it back home for a first Porsche pole in 2022 in the Asia Le Mans Series. LMP3, and again Xavier Oliveras putting in a strong run. Also coming through the number 3 car, Edward Calpe, in the championship leading CD Sport cars, but once again it would be Laurence Herr, DCAR Engineering and the Duquesne D08s that were absolutely untouchable. Can they convert that to a race win on Sunday? LMP2, Paul di Resta, impatient to get out there. And the number 39 Graf car with David Drew would again come back with 3rd place on the grid. The number 4 Nielsen Racing car with Ben Hanley looked like he might challenge, but had to settle for 2nd behind this man and this car. 23 United Autosports, Paul di Resta, a 2nd pole position in 2 races. The final round would see a double pole position for United Autosports 23 car ahead of the series champions from Nielsen Racing. It's 4 in a row for pole positions at DCAR Engineering, whilst in GT, the Herbeth Motorsport number 33 car would take their first pole position of the year. The record GT grid, though, would prove, as always, to have the depth of competition we've come to expect in 2022.
As the start of the fourth and final race of the 2022 season got underway, Josh Pearson again led the field and held the lead heading into turn 1, while his rival on the front row, Rodrigo Sales, this time was able to hold on to second spot. The GT field was spread across the track in the early moments, with TF Sports' Enrique Chavez in the number 95 car coming out on top to take the class lead ahead of Hubert Haupter in the number 6 car and Rino Mastronardi in the 55. Behind him, Hubert Haupt and Rino Mastronardi were in an almighty battle for second in GT, with the German fending off the Italian for the time being and looking stronger in his AMG. There was a succession of overtakes in the opening laps, with Tomonobu Fuji in the number 77 D-Station car, passing Ralph Bone in the number 91 Herberth Porsche. Then Victor Gomez in the number 51 AF Corsa Ferrari blew past Jürgen Haring in one of the other Herberth entries. Next, Mastronardi pulled wide to go past Haupt, with the German appearing to have a temporary issue, but he was soon back up to full speed, although he lost the position. Race leader Josh Pearson in the number 23 United Autosports Oreca was continuing to impress at the front of the field, with the teenager having built up a 53-second lead over Rodrigo Sales in the number 4 Nielsen Racing outfit. Tomonobu Fuji then flashed a repeat of his earlier overtake, going past Hubert Haupter on the inside here to take third position in GT. There was huge drama before the end of the first hour, as the number 2 DKR Engineering Duquesne, the LMP3 winner of race 3, was smoking from wheel damage that appeared to have been caused by a shunt to the legality panel, sparking a full course yellow to clear the debris from turn 13, while the number 2 car had repairs. With 70 minutes gone, David Perel in the number 55 Rinaldi Racing Ferrari went past John Hartshorn in the number 95 TF Sports Aston Martin to take the lead in the GT category, with Perel still in with a shot of challenging the number 7 Inception Racing Team for the season title and a place in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Gabriele Rindoni in the number 21 Conrad Motorsport entry, losing the rear of his car at turn 5 and stalling it as he tried to get back on track. That forced him into an early retirement after 36 laps. There was trouble for another LMP3 car moments later, as Michael Jensen had the number 3 CD Sport entry stranded at turn 7, although he was able to rejoin the race. There was contact between Dennis Anderson in the 5th placed number 49 high-class racing car and one of the GTs at turn 6, just as a full course yellow was announced to recover the 21 car. Second placed Matt Bell in the number 4 car was looking to unlap himself from the lead number 23 car, which still had Josh Pearson behind the wheel, though the experienced Brit would have to wait until the next round of pit stops to complete the move. Meanwhile, in LMP3, Xavier Loveras in the number 26 G-Drive Racing Ligier managed to find a way past the outside of Torsten Kratz in the number 22 Rinaldi Racing Duquesne and take over the category lead. A fantastic recovery after the previous day's fire that forced the back of the car to be rebuilt overnight. Sebastian Alvarez in the number 2 DKR Engineering car spun near the halfway mark, immediately followed by this contact with Dennis Anderson in the number 49 high-class racing entry, which ripped the rear spoiler off the 2 car, bringing out another full-course yellow and ending the race for the Luxembourg team. Hendrik Still in the number 22 Rinaldi Racing Duquesne came roaring up behind Vyacheslav Gutak in the number 26 G-Drive Racing Ligier before going past him to take second position in LMP3 and 6th overall as the category continued to throw up surprises. The GT class was packed full of battles throughout the race, with a trio of drivers competing for position here as the number 20 SPF Automotive AMG went past Ollie Milroy in the number 7 Inception Racing McLaren. At the top of the screen, Tom Gamble in the number 77 D-Station Racing Aston Martin had stopped on the main straight after a drive shaft failure, and that ended the team's race after 63 laps. Robert Renauer in the number 91 Herberth Motorsports Porsche was now leading GT from Alessandro Perguidi in the number 51 AF Corsa Ferrari after the Italian had fallen out of the category lead with a penalty for abuse of track limits. The number 49 car was in the wars once again, with Kevin Weider behind the wheel of the high-class racing car for this spin. The American recovered, but the team was still several laps down on their LMP2 AM rivals. The number 44 ARC Bratislava car made a dive down the inside of the number 17 AF Corsa car at turn 3, but there wasn't room, and the Ferrari spun round, off the track and out of the race, with a penalty slapped on the 44 and another full course yellow to clear the incident. Matt Bell in the number 4 Nielsen racing car was now back onto the lead lap in second overall, but Josh Pearson had taken over from Paul di Resta in the race-leading number 23 United Autosports car and still had a sizable lead at the front. There was yet more change in GT, with Ben Barker leading in the 12 Dynamic Motorsport from the number 69 Oman racing car and 55 Ronaldo Racing, though none of those three would go on to finish on the podium. Bad luck hit the number 8 Nielsen Racing team of Tony Wells and Colin Noble, who finished in the garage due to damage from overheating issues. That left the 22 and the 26 to battle it out for the class win, with Xavier Loveras taking a lead here he wouldn't relinquish to cap a remarkable comeback after disaster the previous day. In an action-packed GT class, it finished with a 1-2 for Herberth Motorsport, with the number 91 trio of Alfred and Robert Renauer and Ralph Bone taking victory ahead of Antares Au, Ifeye and Klaus Bachler in the number 33, with the Garage 59 number 88 car in third. The Inception Racing number 7 trio of Brendan Arib, Ollie Milroy and Ben Barnicoat finished in 5th, but that was enough to take the GT Championship. This late move by Edouard Kauop in the number 3 CD Sport entry would see him clinch the final LM3P podium position, but it was the team's sister car, the number 27, whose consistency saw them edge the championship despite not winning a single race. Josh Pearson took the checkered flag for back-to-back wins for United Autosports, but the second-place finisher, the number 4 Nielsen Racing team, had already done enough to win the LMP2 title and clinch an entry to Le Mans.
United Autosports take the win in the final race of the season ahead of Nielsen Racing and Graf Racing, who also take LMP2 AM. G-Drive Racing, an amazing recovery from trouble on Saturday to take the win ahead of the CD Sport pair of Ligiers. Herberth Motorsport, a double win for the German Porsche team, with the Inception Racing crew completing their run to a title. GTM could not be closer. 57 takes the win, 20 takes the title. With the season over, it's time to celebrate, and on the race winners podium, it's the 23 United Autosports Oreca crew, Paul di Resta and Josh Pearson. G-Drive Racing, an amazing win after a fire on Saturday for the 26 Ligier, and Herberth Motorsports number 91 Porsche, a double win in Abu Dhabi. In the GT AM class, it would be the 57 Kessel Racing Ferrari crew that take the win, and Graf Racing's 39 Oreca takes LMP2 AM. The season standings then in all 5 classes. The win in LMP2 goes to Nielsen Racing ahead of Graf Racing and High Class Racing in LMP2. LMP2 AM would see Graf take the title from High Class, LMP3 and a banner day for CD Sports. 1-2 in the championship with the 27 heading home the number 3 car, and it would be Rinaldi Racing that take 3rd spot. GT and a great season for Inception Racing. Their number 7 McLaren takes the title. Finally, in GTM, the number 20 SPS Automotive Performance AMG.
Action-packed, full of suspense, victorious moments and lessons learned. All the elements that make the Asian Le Mans Series what it is today. Hats off to all the participating teams for giving it their all, and of course to our series partners and the organizers for pulling this one off. And thanks to you for following us every step of the way. So thank you for your support, and we'll see you again in another season of the Asian Le Mans Series. Till then, bye!